Hello and welcome to Borders Rugby TV. This week the team and I have travelled north to Inverleith where Stewart'S-Melville take on Borders side Peebles. Peebles got off to a great start last weekend with a bonus point win against Gordonians, whereas Stew-Mel perhaps didn't get the result that they were looking for with a draw against Berwick. Earlier on in the week, both head coaches were saying that this week was going to be a tough game, but they both felt they could come away with a win. Here with the highlights, it's Clancy and Purdie.
And James Fowler, the Peebles volunteer on this side, running touch, an experienced referee back in the day, but play is now underway. Stewart'S-Melville kicking from left to right, just kick it down the throat of Ewan Jackson, who gathers in the 22, then feeds Roddy Guinea as he pumps his legs forward, and he enjoys his first carry in this game, but Peebles have managed to benefit from a penalty there, so it looks like Jack Harrison is going to be on kicking duties. It is Ali Scott who gathers at the line out, and Stewart'S-Melville power forward from that maul. They're able to get some good territory there, making a good 10 yards or so. A little clap from the scrum half, Charlie Burrows, to the referee, just signalling that he thinks there's an infringement there. He does it well, he takes a quick penalty, he just catches Peebles cold and he goes in for the first score of this game. Brilliant awareness there from the scrum half, Charlie Burrows, and he gets the first score here after 2 minutes. He just managed to manipulate that penalty. Good communication with the referee, quick penalty, and that Arkin run into the corner. The top corner here at Inverleith opens the scoring. And the conversion attempt from the 22, just 6 metres in from the touchline, kisses the uprights and bounces back into play.
Yeah, it just shows that Peebles will need to be on their mettle, and it's almost that classic case of these teams won't know each other all that well, but they'll have to find out about each other soon enough.
An introduction there for a carry forward for James Ferguson, who gathers from that restart from Donald Anderson. He opted to kick a little bit deeper. The carry forward now from Curtis Williams, who takes a few bodies to bring him down, but an infringement there at the breakdown. The referee just signalling to Williams and also Ali Scott in there that there's been an infringement in that collision. Donald Anderson sent relatively centre field, maybe a couple of yards to the left hand of the uprights, in between the 22 and the 10 metre line. The sun just shining on the back of his number. No issues with the visuals towards the post. It's a good connection with the right foot. It looks accurate, and the assistant referees raise their flag. 5 points to 3 now. Just shy of the 22, maybe 5 metres or so short of the Stewart'S-Melville 22. It's recycled. Ewan Jackson now burrowing forward. He's a robust and muscular character and manages just to get his shoulder into the heart of the Stewart'S-Melville defence. A little grubber pass there, just ricochets off the feet of Scott Stoddart, who was loitering on the shoulder, but it's fallen into Stewart'S-Melville custody as they retreat back into their 22 and kick it down the throat of Rio Batia, who's at fullback. A couple of bits of footwork there. He evades the first challenge from Curtis Williams and makes his way back into Stewart'S-Melville territory. Now Ross Brown takes the ball off Jack Harrison. Now going towards that touchline, looks slightly isolated, but the support was well there for Peebles just on the 10 metre line. The ball just ghosting over the shoulder of Donald Anderson, but eventually Hodgkiss has got it under control inside centre, just making his way into the first team now, as Jack Harrison thinks he spots a little bit of space, and he has spotted that as he kicks it towards the corner. That box kick is brilliantly executed from centre field, and it bobbles just half a metre shy of the flag, which is just loitering on the try line there. A really good rugby player. He's really strong as well defensively, but his touches as well, his touches of brilliance there behind that set piece was brilliant, but it's been picked off at the tail of the line out by Roddy Guinea, and Peebles are over for the score. And just as Stewart'S-Melville looked to try and settle their ship inside their own half, they overthrew at the line out, and Roddy Guinea was at the tail just to pluck it off and then swan dive over the whitewash, and Peebles take the lead for the first time in this game. Yeah,
and that's all stemmed from the beauty of a kick by Jack Harrison. Overthrow, as you say, which has been unlike the Stew-Mel hooker.
Donald Anderson, right hand side of the uprights. He's had an earlier penalty in this game. Right footed connection yet again. It's an early flag as well from James Fowler. He's happy with that. 12 and a half minutes gone, and it is currently Stewart'S-Melville 5, Peebles 10. And Stewart'S-Melville are looking to try and turn the tide now as Brodie Miller breaks through from a great set piece, but Ewan Jackson just hauling his opposite number towards his own try line. It was very unorthodox from the back row forward there as he just handbagged the outside centre James Ferguson towards his own line.
It was an incredible chop tackle to start with, but then I sort of picked him up and dragged him halfway to Newhaven.
Yeah, Ewan Jackson still playing like he's an 18-year-old fresh-faced into the senior ranks, but at 34 he's certainly on the other end of his career. Stewart's-Melville 5, Peebles 10. And from that scrum there's going to be a penalty towards the home side. The referee not happy with that set piece. The front row of Aitken, Napier and Gray. Inside centre Adam Fraser just taking his time lining up. He's just to the right hand side. It's ghosting round and it just curls to inside the left hand of the uprights. It is a full 3-pointer there for Stewart's-Melville. John Napier now taking up that mantle, but now it's on and he's got to hit his target there, and that's a brilliant lift, a brilliant throw from Peebles. Stewart's-Melville trying to spoil this driving maul, but the momentum now starting to build for Peebles. It splinters off to the side, the referee happy with that, the momentum building, it's trundling towards the line, the referee signals the score and Peebles get their second try of the afternoon. And it was accuracy from the line out. Great throw from John Napier, lifted by Roddy Guinea. And it's a score for Peebles. And it looks like Ewan Jackson is the last player to rise up from the bundle of bodies. And I wouldn't put it against the young, well, not the young, the small, the short, robust back row, Ewan Jackson, to have gotten that try from Peebles. And they extend their lead here at Inverleith.
What a great try. You won't see a more textbook line out then drive at any level of rugby anywhere this weekend. That was absolutely fantastic. Feathering the cap for the Peebles forwards there. A couple of tries in the bag and just a bit of daylight between the teams now. Kick to come.
And that kick is going to come from the boot of Donald Anderson, just connecting with the ball there, and it just glances in front of the post there. It's not successful. And now we're throwing the line out deep inside the 22. Hart now throws to the tail. Sword's not able to gather, but it flaps back on a Stewart's-Melville side. McConkey is the player that carries forward. And Stewart's-Melville looking to try and go through some phases now as Sword carries. He's bundled to ground by a couple of Peebles players. One of them, Ewan Jackson, who is wrapping lowest. Jack Harrison now riding a little bit high there in the challenge, and it's been stripped. John Napier now gathers the ball and it's opened up for the hooker, and he just bundles himself to the ground. He thought it opened up there, but I think 80 yards for John Napier might be a sizable task for the hooker, replacing Matty Carrier in the starting lineup this afternoon. But he's done well to gather the ball. Now back into the hands of Kyle Henderson, experienced fly half, and he has been just cowed on his back by the onrushing Peebles defence. And defence is obviously winning at the moment for Peebles. That one try they've conceded so far, getting caught cold. It looks like the scrum half there, Charlie Burrows, has just went over on his ankle as well there as Jack Harrison spots that there's nobody in behind. Stewart's-Melville look all at sea as Peebles are looking to try and put pressure on the home side in their own territory. Some playing out from deep now. It has opened up for Stewart's-Melville. A counter-attack, some good interlinking play as Bowen just evades the clutches and the tackles coming on there from Peebles. Stewart's-Melville from inside their own 22 managed to get up towards the halfway line. It's a carry forward from Ferguson. He's going lateral, but it's eventually been knocked forward. Napier gathers, but the referee says that there's been a hand in there by Peebles, so the penalty is going to go to Stewart's-Melville. Scrum down inside the Peebles 22. They will not want to give away a penalty here. The nudge coming on from Stewart's-Melville.
You're not going anywhere. Stay.
The referee signalling that this one is successful. Jack Harrison just peeling away from that scrum, kicks it downfield, and he's made a great distance with that kick. It's well gathered on that far side. Brodie Miller is the player now, arcing his run centre field straight into Hodgkiss there. Ewan Jackson, who's had a great bursting run to get back into position. Now Stewart's-Melville have got loads of pitch to play with, but not able to use that overlap. Scott Stoddart just wrapping up the opposite man as Kadari was just looking to try and make inroads and go round at the Peebles winger. He's come off second best there as well, but made an important tackle as the ball is tipped on. John Napier is just plucked. It's Ross Brown just plucked it. An interception. It's now a chase back here. Jake Burns looking to try and get the second row. Peebles need to get support there quickly. He does a great job in presenting the ball back 6 or 7 metres shy of the Stewart's-Melville line. Donald Anderson now floats the ball. A big looping pass to Cameron Pye. He flies it into the hands of Neil Pate, and Peebles go in for a third try. And great awareness from Ross Brown. Interception from the towering second row. Not able to show his pace from his days as a centre. He was hacked down to ground there by Jake Burns, but great width from Peebles to get it into the hands of Neil Pate, and he scores a try in the corner.
Body blow for Stew-Mel that Dale, because they had numbers on this near side right in front of us, and it was a wonderful interception. You had to guddle it, you had to juggle it, the big second row, and off he went. 30 metres, 40 metres, he was hauled down. They've went wide. There was a couple of brilliant passes in there, and all that while a couple of Peebles players were lame. Actually, Stoddart made the big shot and he came off second best, while Jack Harrison looks like he's got a shoulder, so it was essentially 13-man Peebles at that. All credit to them.
Good play as Stewart's-Melville try just to make a mess of it. Inside there is Collins as he carries forward. He's brought down round the fringes of that ruck as Peebles keep the pressure on. Murdo Anderson now picking and going. Recently married, Murdo Anderson is obviously rejuvenated and back in the starting line, back in the team now. As he's made his way off the bench as John Gray now carries forward. Ewan Jackson plucking off the base, finds Ross Brown as he offers his back towards the Stewart's-Melville defenders, but the ball is still back on a Peebles side. Again, pumping the legs forward. It's 7 or 8 phases now Peebles have went through. Murdo Anderson just loitering, looking to try and dig that ball out, carries forward, just ducks that right shoulder close towards that line, but just not able to stretch forward at all. And then another attempt coming there from Ross Brown, not able to get close enough towards that line. They'll go again there through Roddy Guinea. He squeezes through.
I've got no view of that. We're going to go back for the penalty over there.
So Ewan Jackson just on the 5 metre line, just ready to just introduce this ball back into play and roll it into the tunnel. The scrum solid again from Peebles. The referee just signalling that the ball is needing used now. It's been picked up at the tail. Roddy Guinea just brushes off the first challenge, then almost gets towards the line. The referee spotting.
And it's rolled forwards the scrum.
The referee signalling that there's a knock on in there, so the opportunity for the bonus point try from Peebles passes them by on this occasion, and it's going to be a put into the scrum to Stewart's-Melville. Murdo Anderson is now replaced by Jack Harrison, who'll take his place back at scrum half. Ewan Jackson will go back into the back row, but it's a defensive scrum here for Stewart's-Melville. The nudge coming on from Peebles, a bit of pressure here for Jake Burns to deal with, and the penalty goes the way of the visitors. Peebles getting the penalty there. Ewan Jackson looking to take this quickly. Donald Anderson taps and goes. He looks to try and feed a supporting player on his shoulder, but just not able to. Perhaps the gung-ho attitude of Peebles here might just play against them just now, but they burrow their way towards the line yet again. The relentless pressure from the men from the Gates is coming on, and the referee has signalled that there's a try in there as well. And Ross Brown is the player who is getting the slaps on the back from Willie Aitken, and it is the 4th try for Peebles.
Yeah, it's maybe no one for the highlights reel, that one, but you can put it down to the Peebles forwards because they've been uber dominant in this last sort of 10-15 minutes, and as I've said all through the game, Peebles very good for this lead.
Donald Anderson, he splits the kindling with a conversion attempt to make sure that Peebles get the full complement of 7 points this time, now leading 27 points to 8. As they find themselves inside the Stewart's-Melville 22 at the tail. Hoisted is Ross Brown, who really not needed to be hoisted that high because it went and it was collected around his midriff, but the replacement there, Rudy Smith, is just packed down at the tail of this driving maul. It was effective in the first half, and the bodies filter forward, and it's still trundling towards that line. 10 metres it's gained, it's got 5 metres to go. It's starting to crab towards the left hand side. It's been collapsed on the ground, and Peebles start the second half with a try. The jubilation there from Neil Hogarth, but it is the replacement, Rudy Smith, the hooker, that threw into the line out. He rises last from the bundle of bodies, and he gets a score straight off the bench, and it's now Peebles 32, Stewart's-Melville 8.
I said in the first half, Dale, you probably won't see a better line out catch and drive for a try. I'm just going to pack up and go home, to be honest, because what do I know, that was every bit as good, if not better. That was another tremendous bit of play by the Peebles forwards. The
first one had a little bit of imagination to it in terms of shifting the point of target. That was brute force, and you can see the replacement there, Rudy Smith, added the size as well as Neil Hogarth coming in there as well. It was different, but that's, it's a positive thing if Peebles are looking, they've got that weapon that they can shape and form to different defences. But at the moment, Donald Anderson lining up in the conversion just inside the 22, just taps it over the crossbar, and it is another conversion there for Donald Anderson. Stewart's-Melville will be hoping to try and narrow the margins here. Off the top, they managed to find Burns. Burns then distributes to Henderson. Henderson just feeds it on to Gregor Thompson, who was arriving at pace. And now Sword is round the corner, looking just to slice through the Peebles defence, but not able to. He's been blunted just short of the 5 metre line. Going round the corner now is Hayden Hart, the hooker, who's managed to get himself into a good position. The penalty advantage coming for Stewart's-Melville, and it looks like the scrum half is going to sneak through. Jake Burns has just scorched through for a try. The referee is going to have to try and calm this down. Sorry about the language there from one of the Peebles back rowers. I'm not going to tell you it was the Peebles number 8, but the referee having to get things under control, and there's going to be a conversation between him and Murdo Anderson.
As far as I'm concerned, try was scored and you kept holding onto that player on the ground. As a captain, that's unacceptable. So I'm going to penalise you, and we restart with a penalty in the halfway. I don't want to see any more. All right? You lead by example, or otherwise I'm going to deal with your players. End of.
Very fair from the referee, I think.
Come out a bit further, please.
Referees look to their captains to help instill that discipline, and Murdo Anderson was just straight under the referee's nose there, and obviously he's fallen foul, and it's going to, after this conversion attempt, to try conversion, and that is probably the worst error to give away straight after conceding points. Conversion attempt coming on from Adam Fraser, just to the right hand side of the uprights. A relatively straightforward attempt for the inside centre. It's successful as well. So 7 points there.
I thought that was brilliant officiating, Dale, and it made Murdo Anderson, dare I say it, he almost looked from here a wee bit sheepish as he trundled back towards the try line, and they've gone down the touchline with that, and again, good territory gained by Stew-Mel, and just gives people something to think about again.
And they're letting ill-discipline come into their game. Stewart's-Melville now throw to the tail, and that is one of the squintest lineouts you will see. Again, picked off at the tail by Roddy Guinea. So they live to fight another day. Peebles just now. Jack Harrison finds Ross Brown. The tower in second row is able just to carry the challenge forward towards the 10-metre line, and does well to stay tall as Murdo Anderson just lies deep in the pocket to get a little bit of momentum, makes his way back towards the gain line, not able to penetrate that line on this occasion, but Donald Anderson's got some options outside him, Hodgkiss one of them. He then just passes out the back, finds James Dow. He's been wrapped up well there by Brodie Miller. There were certainly options outside there for Peebles if they could get the ball through the hands, but a good play there from Hodgkiss, the young inside centre, to size up his options. Now Neil Hogarth powering through. The challenges there, breaks through the two challenges, but momentum takes him to the ground. Options there as Collins look to gather. Murdo Anderson scoops up the ball, but it is just bounced forward. So Jake Burns.
That side, you're leaning too much.
And loiters by the scrum. It's taken quickly, the free kick, and they look to try and release Adam Fraser now. He carries forward. Burns gets there quickly, finds Henderson. Henderson throws a really flat pass. It ended up being bouncing into the hands of Brodie Miller.
Anderson.
And Murdo Anderson has just been yellow carded. And the referee is going to have to explain a few things here, perhaps, just to.
It was a late hit by Anderson.
Wait, I'm just going to have a quick chat. Hold on, there's time off. Alright, who's the new captain? Because he was your captain. I had a very clear word with him under the polls about the discipline.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a series of penalties in a row. High tackle, a tackle late there, and then another penalty down there. Yeah. I want you to have a word about the discipline now, because players will keep going.
A minute and get me?
Yes, yeah.
Lads, boys, in a minute. Yeah.
Don't steal yards either.
Two good things there from as well. The referee, well, brilliant, because he's telling them to go back. He's officiated really well. And really set his stall out as well. Hayden Hart thrown into the line out. It's been gathered by Scott. It's been brought down. The ball now filtering its way through the bodies. The red shirts that are congregated at the back of that maul. It's been well resisted by Peebles, but eventually the momentum starts creeping forward. It's been well protected there by Hayden Hart at the tail of that maul, but it's broken. It's gone to ground. The referee's arm going out for the advantage. Penalty advantage for Stewart's-Melville. And you can see there the shrill of the whistle, and I think the referee is going to signal another yellow card, and it's John Gray this time who's been given his marching orders.
No, there's no quick. There's no quick. Hold on.
Peebles now down to 13 men, 2 forwards in the bin. And John Gray on 54 minutes, so it is going to be 8 minutes before Peebles see any sort of benefit of having a player back on the field. Willie Aitken's going to have to reseal his bag of Werther's Original and get onto the field of play. He's not in any hurry, which is smart from him. He's starting to burst into a jog as he's making his way towards the pitch. Still not put his scrum cap on as well. He's a wily old character at Willie Aitken, so he'll be squeezing every minute out of this. Stewart's-Melville will be hoping just to squeeze their way over the line, and if not, there might be holes to exploit in the back line. So Burns, 19 on his back, feeds the scrum. It's been steady there. It's picked at the base. The number 7 there, Gregor Thompson, gathered, but is just run into a little bit of an error. And the referee signalled the penalty is going to go the way of Peebles. And from that roar, you would almost feel like we're playing at the Guides, because decisions have been going the way of Stewart's-Melville. The cheers have perhaps not been that loud, but Peebles jubilant there.
Captain, where's Jack?
The
You
referee.
should have 12 on the field because it was a front row that got binned. So you should have 12 on the field. How many do you have on the field?
No, shit.
13, I think. That
Yes, but how many do you have on the field?
there's only been 2 yellow cards, so the referee.
You should have 12. You should have 12 because it's foul play. So one must go.
Can we go back to this?
No, we restart with a penalty because you got wrong numbers. So we'll start with a penalty over there.
Oh
Wow,
wow!
that's a contentious one.
I think
Because I thought you'd gone down to 12. Okay, so it's a penalty.
the coaching staff from the Stew-Mel
Should
side
have numbers.
were on the sideline there, just signalling about the numbers. But obviously they made a replacement.
Yes, you must be on 12.
We need to sub someone off, down to 12.
You must be on 12 because it's the front row.
For a yellow card.
Because a front row got yellow carded for foul play, I believe that they are not allowed to replace. They can just
When
bring.
you go uncontested. It's the law. I don't like it either, but it's the law. Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to have to get out the law book and have a look at this one, Robin. I think because that is
We realise it's wrong. I thought they had gone to 12.
the
all right?
finite depths of the law book of rugby. There's been 2 yellow cards, just to keep you up to speed. Murdo Anderson and John Gray have been yellow carded, and because the front row has been yellow carded, but it started with a penalty, and it's Stewart's-Melville now. Hart throws into the line out. It's been gathered by Sword. The maul has now been brought to ground, and Peebles now with 12 men have to try and stop the onslaught here at this driving maul. It's been well repelled there by the red and white hoops of Peebles as they congest now at the centre position as Ferguson carries forward. He's been well defended as Sword goes round the corner. Smith does well to challenge. Sword looks to try and get his arms free and get the offload in, but the replacement hooker does well to get right under his body and stop any sort of offload attempt. Jack Harrison going high there as well. The referee again signalling there's a penalty coming the way of Stewart's-Melville as Ferguson catapults himself towards that defensive line. Burns now goes. He looks to try and sight up his options, and it's a roll towards the line for Stu Faulkner. And the referee again is going to have a conversation and time off.
Captain,
A couple of penalties coming
I
in
will
here for
give you
Peebles.
no more warnings. Okay? High tackle, and it keeps going and it's all near your goal line. This is it. There's an option there or more in midfield.
15 metres in from the touchline on the far side, adjacent to the stand here at
Body height,
Inverleith.
it's fine.
Sword carries forward and he looks to try and breach the defensive line. Against the defence from Peebles is standing firm. The guards are in position. Not a lot of penalties for offside, but a lot of penalties for foul play and high challenges. And again, the attacking intent from Stewart's-Melville is repelled by the Peebles red and white wall. They will come again. The ball will filter round and Burns looks to try and go on the blind side. Stewart's-Melville arch towards that line, just not able to breach it yet again. Most of the Stewart's-Melville players are gathered round about that breakdown of play. Again, just the body is just thrown back and the penalty goes the way of Peebles from that breakdown. Sword, who was defended, rolled back into the ruck.
If you land on other players, you're down. Okay? Pulling on.
Thrown to the line out on the Peebles 22. They throw in, it's been gathered by Sword. He picks the pocket of the visitors and then filtered across the hands into Ferguson. And it's Ferguson, waiting in the wider channels. He now gets the ball, that flat pass. He's then got a 2-on-1. Batia gets across, drags his opposite man down to ground, but it's been well picked off the toe by Adam Fraser. Not able to just keep his head up enough to arc his way towards the line. As Hart now folds round the corner, 15 metres in from the touchline, 5 metres from the Peebles line, carries forward, and Peebles are making a fist of it at the breakdown, and I think they might well have just turned it over as well, because Jack Harrison is digging about at that breakdown, looking to get it back on the Peebles side. It's been charged down by Ferguson, but it comes into the clutches of Donald Anderson, and I'm going to take a minute to gather my breath. And Robin, an intense passage of play there from either side.
Stew-Mel throwing everything at the 12 men of Peebles, but unable to come up trumps once again. Great turnover.
Up to the 5 metre line. Peebles' defence again standing up strong as Burns, the replacement scrum half, who's had a very impressive game, manages to feed another attacking player. The back row forwards are trying really, really hard to breach this defensive line. Stewart's-Melville eventually get over the line, and it's Hayden Hart who's got the try. The referee signalling that they grounded the ball, and the hooker perhaps just playing a little bit further away from the breakdown, just going against the grain, picking the gap and just committing towards that line. And it is going to be the inside centre, Adam Fraser, with another conversion attempt, and he's successful with this one. So it means that the score now With 64 minutes gone here at Inverleith, is Stewart's-Melville 22, Peebles 34. 12 points between the sides, 15 minutes left to go. Put into the scrum for Stewart's-Melville. Burns feeds, and then eventually the penalty goes the way of Peebles. Now, maths is never my strong point, but I tell you what, and Stewart's-Melville will be marched back 10. I know exactly what I would be doing from here. There's a 12-point advantage that Peebles currently have. Donald Anderson right in front of the uprights, just encroaching the 22, right-footed kick, and Peebles extend their lead here, and they now lead by 37 points to 22 here at Inverleith. It's Peebles currently in the driving seat, and one of the men helping drive the bus over the line is Donald Anderson, who's just going to be sitting in the pocket for the rest of this game, looking to nudge Peebles into the corners. But Stewart's-Melville looking to break free from deep inside their own half, and they have done just that through Brodie Miller. He's been well challenged there by Jackson. Jackson again has a second bite of the cherry because he's just wrapped up Jake Burns. And good to see Jackson back on the field and not dropping his standards at all, as he's putting pressure on the Stewart's-Melville scrum half. But good play from Stewart's-Melville, getting the ball through the hands from Henderson. Carry round the forward, offload there into Henderson. Henderson now finds Sword again. Sword is brought to ground, looks to try and offload off the deck, but not able to. Burns is waiting for the ball to be spilled. The nudge comes on from Peebles. It looked like there was an element of a knock-on in there but the referee lets it play. Replacement there, Stu Faulkner picks up and has to act as the auxiliary replacement scrum half. Burns recycles himself to find Ferguson. Upright yet again, carries forward, not making much ground because he's just run straight into the shoulder of Finlay Collins. Second row there, offloading. It was Scott, finds Malcolm, and Thompson in there as well. The players, the back row forwards, all linking up well as Henderson offers up the ball on a plate to one of the on-rushing Stewart's-Melville attackers. A couple of players congested in there. The penalty coming the way of Stewart's-Melville. Murdo Anderson kicks downfield. A couple of blasts of the whistle, and I think we know what's coming. And Neil Hogarth, one of the shortest players on the pitch, is guilty of tackling above the sternum. So it's a yellow card for last season's club captain at Peebles. But Stewart's-Melville will be chasing that bonus point try. They'll be wanting to leave here with something. Another high challenge in there from Cameron Pye, perhaps, has just been missed there by the referee. But Stewart's-Melville going against the grain. Burns finds Hart, the most recent try scorer for Stewart's-Melville. He looks to try and dig his way in between the limbs there. Ball to Henderson. Henderson's found a little gap. He squeezes through for a try, and the fly half has got the bonus point scored here for Stewart's-Melville. Perhaps the victory is beyond the home side. They take it to within 10 points now. Perhaps still a couple of minutes left to play in this fixture. Peebles now just needing to get over the line. The time perhaps has elapsed for Stewart's-Melville to get a victory in this game. Still an opportunity to get a losing bonus point, but the line out goes to the tail. Roddy Guinea gathers. The driving maul now comes on. It's got great momentum from the 22. It's still trundling towards that 5 metre line. It starts to slow down. It's hit the speed bumps there, but it's broken away, and then peeling off the corner is John Gray for the final score for Peebles. And the prop manages just to break free from that maul and swan dive over the line, and it is perhaps just what Peebles deserve in this fixture. They take it beyond Stewart's-Melville and they get the final say in this game at Inverleith, and that means it takes them into the 40s and it allows them to go back down the road to the gates with an emphatic victory over Stewart's-Melville. Yes, they've conceded points, but again, that driving maul, Robin.
I was just going to say, Dale, you talk about facets of the game, and their first two are things of absolute beauty, and that one was no less aesthetically pleasing as well. That's been such a strike weapon for them today, and that comes down to good coaching and good execution by the players.
Donald Anderson with the final say in this game. 4 metres shy of the touchline, conversion attempt, right-footed. Pedestrian, he's sclaffed that just in front of the uprights, but it won't matter a jot really in terms of the balance of things, because Peebles go back to the gates with a bonus point victory here. Stewart's-Melville 27, Peebles 42.
Everything that we've been practising, we came out from under the posts. We said before the game, at some point we will be under the posts, and it's about how we come out of there which will set the result of the game. And we came out, we stuck to our game plan, and the second half there was a few bits that went our way, but when we had 15 on the pitch, we were unstoppable.
Fair credit to the boys. There's a lot of young lads in there that will take a lot from that today. It's about how you learn from it. And as you say, you know, we experienced a few times last season where heads would go down, but we know we're a fit team and we know that we've got an 80-minute performance in us. And we were just looking for that key sort of pressure swing. You know, I'd say maybe that yellow card, those 2 yellow cards, just gave us that opportunity. And fair play to the lads for sticking in and really taking it when they got that opportunity.
There was just a little bit over-eagerness this early in the season at times, which can result in accumulating penalties against you, which you lose with a bit of momentum. We've got a lot of young players who have really put in an amazing shift. This is some of them, this is their second game or their first game ever playing senior rugby, and you couldn't really tell which ones they were. So I think there's maybe just little bits where we need to gel a bit more as a team, but down to 12 men, and it took 12 minutes for them to score.
We spent a lot of time in this league and we know how important every single point is. It'll all count come the end of the season, so for us that's a real positive to build on, and it's a vindication for the team that the moves we're running in training are coming off and we're scoring some nice tries and playing good rugby.
Well, we're just going to keep doing what we're doing. We've got a brilliant coaching team, we've got a brilliant playing setup at the moment, so we're just going to keep working on our game plan, keep executing it. As the season goes on, it'll change a bit, but we're looking to take scalps home and away and try and put as many bonus points as we can.
Well, after another warm afternoon and a few controversial moments, Peebles managed to pull away in the end 42-27. Next week we're off to Selkirk for our first border derby and a crucial match for both teams to see who can get their first points in the league. Hope you can join us there, but for now, cheerio.